Hello, I'm al-Assad, and this is Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. The glorious Russian war machine now seems to be proudly sponsored by Pyongyang's finest. While North Korean soldiers have arrived on Russian soil ostensibly to defend it, according to reports, they didn't quite realize where they had landed or why they were there. But who needs clarity when you've got friendship bracelets made of rusted AK-47s and starving conscripts? A captured Russian soldier recently spilled some beans, probably the only beans he has seen in weeks, and revealed a fascinating dynamic. The North Koreans are receiving supplies, ammunition and uniforms, luxuries that Russian troops can only dream of. Imagine this scene. A Russian soldier shivering in tattered gear next to a pristine North Korean in brand new boots. Equality in suffering, not in Putin's army. But the real kicker, Russian troops were allegedly ordered not to engage in combat or take any action if a North Korean soldier points a gun at them. Now that is what I call trust. Nothing says solid alliance like being told, hey, if our North Korean friends decide you're the enemy, just stand there, maybe wave at them?
На русскую землю пришли корейцы защищать, непонятно почему и как. Если для них есть это обмундирование, обеспечение БК и все, почему нам это не дать, когда у нас этого нет? Отношение к ним более лояльнее, чем к нам. То есть в конфликт нам сразу сказано, если вас тыкают они оружием, то есть в конфликт не вступать, никаких мер не предпринимать. Были случаи стрельбы в нашу сторону, в наших ребят, но вроде ТТТ, без всяких летальных исходов, и я так понял, что они сразу не допетлили, куда они приехали и зачем. И мне кажется, там их хватило пару-тройку дней, чтобы понять, куда попали. Ну, очень много, я так понимаю, у них 300-х, за 200-х не знаю, 300-х, да, были, да. Да, уже такой активности от них не видно уже, то есть как бы да, где-то они есть, где-то там вот в блинчиках, в окопах, да, но как бы никакой активности нет.
But Russia isn't stopping at this beautiful friendship. No, Moscow's axis of awkward allies is expanding. After months of soul-searching and diplomatic acrobatics, Russia is preparing to remove the Taliban from its list of terrorist organizations. Because when your guest list includes North Korea, what's one more pariah state at the dinner table? Russia and its allies, a club so exclusive it could be mistaken for a Survivor reality show where the contestants are rogue states clinging to Moscow like barnacles on a sinking ship. North Korea, Syria, and now possibly the Taliban. The Kremlin sure knows how to pick them, right? After all, who needs dependable partners when you can have a coalition of dictators, warlords, and hermit kingdoms with questionable hygiene standards? But let's focus on Syria for a moment, where Russia's bromance with Bashar al-Assad took a sudden turn into the Shakespearean. According to reports, Moscow allegedly tried to poison its own ally with Novichok. Oh, the drama. Nothing says eternal friendship quite like slipping a nerve agent into your buddy's tea. Assad, however, survived. Apparently even the Novichok couldn't overpower his stubborn will to stick around. Although traces of the poison were reportedly found in his blood, a stark reminder that in Russian diplomacy, trust is measured in milligrams of chemical agents. But let us not single out poor old Assad. After all, every alliance in Putin's playbook seems to follow the same script: handshake, smiles, a promise of eternal brotherhood, and then surprise poisoning. North Korea's Kim Jong-un must be taking notes. He's probably double-checking every cup of instant noodles offered by his Russian comrades. And yet, Moscow seems genuinely surprised when these relationships become strained. Russia doesn't like allies who fail in life, as if anyone in Putin's orbit has a real shot at success. Syria is in ruins. North Korea is perpetually stuck in the 1950s. And the Taliban, well, they are the Taliban. Still, Putin keeps collecting allies like rare stamps, or rare Pokemon for that matter, hoping that if he gathers enough pariah states, they will somehow transform into a geopolitical powerhouse. Spoiler alert, they won't. A coalition of isolated regimes doesn't project strength. It looks more like a club of guys at a party nobody else wanted to attend. At this point, Russia's foreign policy could be summarized as, we'll be friends until we decide you have outlived your usefulness. Then we might accidentally slip some Novichok into your tea. No hard feelings, comrade. Duh. But hey, Assad survived, King Jong-un is still standing, and the Taliban are on speed dial. Somewhere at the Kremlin, Putin is probably raising a glass of vodka, toasting to his illustrious allies, and casually wondering why nobody else trusts him anymore. Germany, the land of precision engineering, bratwurst, and an inexplicable soft spot for Vladimir Putin. As the political landscape in Berlin tilts increasingly towards extremes, it seems that at least a third of German voters are eyeing Moscow with something between nostalgia and outright admiration. On the far right, the AfD is holding strong, with 18 to 20% nationally and a staggering 30% in some eastern states, where Soviet-era wallpaper might still be clinging to a few walls. Meanwhile, on the far left, Sarah Wagenknecht and her new alliance have swept up Die Linke's crumbs, offering voters a fresh chance to blame NATO for, literally everything. It is a peculiar sight indeed. Two radically different political camps, united by their shared love for Kremlin talking points. While German citizens are busy debating heat pump regulations and energy independence, a worrying chunk of them seems ready to trade Merkel-era pragmatism for some nostalgic understanding with Russia. And let's face it, the Kremlin must be thrilled. Why waste rubles on elaborate disinformation campaigns when German politicians are happily carrying water for Moscow for free? Whether it's Wagenknecht demanding peace talks with a man currently carpet-bombing Ukrainian cities, or AfD leaders taking selfies in the Red Square, the loyalty is touching. With parliamentary elections looming in 2025, one has to wonder, will Germany's next coalition agreement come with a free Gazprom membership card? Or perhaps a hotline directly to Putin's bunker? Either way, the Bundestag may soon need to install Cyrillic keyboards. After all, why stop at Nord Stream when you can Nord vote? The West, the land of endless debates, heartfelt resolutions, and politicians who can't seem to find their spine without a GPS. As Ukraine fights tooth and nail for every meter of its land, some Western leaders are already daydreaming about freezing the conflict. Yes, because nothing says strong leadership like telling Ukrainians, hey, how about we just hit pause and let Russia keep what it grabbed? Fair deal, right? It's so easy for politicians and pundits in tailored suits and cozy studios to preach about peace at any cost. After all, they are not the ones crouching in trenches or counting friends who didn't make it back from the front lines. Meanwhile, Ukrainian soldiers, like those from the 93rd Mechanized Brigade, are left shaking their heads. If they freeze the war, it means everything was in vain. Too many people have died. It's painful to even think about it, they say.
Печально будет, если заморозят, конечно. Потому что, слишком много людей погибло. И это больно аж думать только об этом. Но если заморозят, то я буду плакать. Честно, да. Если заморозят, потому что я потерял очень много людей на вот этой войне, много близких. Меня отца убили. Мой хороший товарищ погиб вот совсем не так давно. И ребята, с которыми я учился в колледже вместе, тоже погибли. Много.
Они все были на войне?
Все. Кто-то Мариуполь пытался удержать, кто-то на Запорожском фронте.
Sure, let's all pretend that Putin will just sit quietly in his bunker, sipping tea, and not immediately start preparing for the next invasion. Yeah, right. Because history has shown us that appeasement always works. Oh, wait, no it doesn't. And, let's be clear, freezing the war isn't peace, it's surrender in slow motion. It's a gift-wrapped victory for Putin with a little bow on top saying, "Thank you for playing, Vlad, enjoy the territories, see you in a few years." But hey, at least the Western politicians pushing for this freeze will sleep soundly, patting themselves on the back for their pragmatic diplomacy. Meanwhile, Ukrainian troops will stare at the battlefield and wonder, was this all for nothing? And so we end this episode of Breaks the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.